Matthew chapter 17. After 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John, the brother of James, with him. He led them up a high mountain. They were all alone. There in front of them, his appearance was changed. His face shone like the sun. His clothes became as white as the light. Just as Moses and Elijah appeared in front of them, Moses and Elijah were talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I'll put up 3 shelters. One will be for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." While Peter was still speaking, a bright cloud covered them. A voice from the cloud said, "This is my son, and I love him. I'm very pleased with him. Listen to him." When the disciples heard this, they were terrified. They fell with their faces to the ground, but Jesus came and touched them. "Get up," he said. "Don't be afraid." When they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus. They came down to the mountain. On the way down, Jesus told them what to do. "Don't tell anyone what you have seen," he said. "Wait until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." The disciples asked him, "Why did the teachers of the law say that Elijah has to come first?" Jesus replied, "That's right. Elijah is supposed to come and make all things new again. But I tell you, Elijah has already come. People didn't recognize him. They have done to him everything they wanted to do. In the same way, they're going to make the Son of Man suffer." Then the disciples understood that Jesus was talking to them about John the Baptist. When they came near the crowd, a man approached Jesus. He got on his knees in front of him. "Lord," he said, "have mercy on my son. He shakes wildly, suffers a great deal. He often falls into the fire or into the water. I brought him to your disciples, but they couldn't heal him." "You unbelieving and evil people," Jesus replied. "How long do I have to stay with you? How long do I have to put up with you? Bring the boy here to me." Jesus ordered the demons to leave the boy, and it came out of him. He was healed at that moment. Then the disciples came to Jesus in private. They asked, "Why couldn't we drive out the demons?" He replied, "Because your faith is much too small. What I'm about to tell you is true. If you have faith as small as mustard seed, it is enough. You can say to the mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will be moved. Nothing will be impossible for you." They came together in Galilee. Then Jesus said to them, "The Son of Man is going to be handed over to men. They will kill him. On the 3rd day, he will rise from the dead." Then the disciples were filled with deep sadness. Jesus and his disciples arrived in Capernaum. There, the people who collect the temple tax came to Peter. They asked him, "Doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax?" "Yes, he does," he replied. When Peter came into the house, Jesus spoke first. "What do you think, Simon?" he asked. "Who do the kings of the earth collect taxes and fees from? Do they collect them from their own children or from others?" "From others," Peter answered. "Then the children don't have to pay," Jesus said to him. "But we don't want to make them angry. So go to the lake and throw out your fishing line. Take the first fish you catch. Open its mouth. There you'll find the exact coin you need. Take it and give it to them for my tax and yours." Matthew chapter 18. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus. They asked him, "Then who is the most important person in the kingdom of heaven?" Jesus called a little child over to him. He had the child stand among them. Jesus said, "What I'm about to tell you is true. You need to change and become like little children. If you don't, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Anyone who takes the humble position of this child is the most important in the kingdom of heaven. Anyone who welcomes a little child like this one, in my name welcomes me. What if someone causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin? If they do, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and be drowned at the bottom of the sea. How terrible it would be for the world because of the things that cause people to sin. Things like that must come, but how terrible for the person who causes them. If your hand or foot causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It would be better to enter the kingdom of heaven with only one hand than go into hell with two hands. It would be better to enter the kingdom of heaven with only one foot than go into hell with 2 feet. In hell, the fire burns forever. If your eye causes you to sin, poke it out and throw it away. It would be better to enter the kingdom of heaven with one eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown into fire of hell. See that you don't look down on one of these little ones. Here is what I tell you. The angels in heaven are always with the Father who is in heaven. What do you think? Suppose a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wanders away. Won't he leave 99 sheep on the hill? Won't he go and look for that one that wandered off? What I'm about to tell you is true. If he finds that sheep, he is happier about the one than about the 99 that didn't wander off. It is the same with your Father in heaven. He does not want any of these little ones to die. If your brother or sister sins against you, go to them. Tell them what they did wrong. Keep it between 2 of you. If they listen to you, you have won them back. But what if they won't listen to you? Then take 1 or 2 others with you. Scripture says every matter must be proved by the word of 2 or 3 witnesses. But what if they also refuse to listen to the witnesses? Then tell it to the church. And what if they refuse to listen even to the church? Then don't treat them as a brother or sister. Treat them as you would treat an ungodly person or a tax collector. What I'm about to tell you is true. What you lock on earth will be locked in heaven. What you unlock on earth will be unlocked in heaven. Again, here is what I tell you. Suppose 2 of you on earth agree about anything you ask for. My Father in heaven will do it for you. Where 2 or 3 people gather in my name, I will be there with them. Peter came to Jesus. He asked, Lord, how many times should I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times? Jesus answered, I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times. The kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to collect all the money his servants owed him. As the king began to do it, a man who owed him 10,000 bags of gold was brought to him. The man was not able to pay, so his master gave an order. The man, his wife, his children, and all he owned had to be sold to pay back what he owed. Then the servant fell on his knees in front of him. Give me time, he begged. I'll pay everything back. His master felt sorry for him. He forgave him and what he owed and let him go. But then that servant went out and found one of the other servants who owed him 100 silver coins. He grabbed it and began to choke him. Pay back what you owe me, he said. The other servant fell on his knee. Give me time, he begged him. I'll pay it back. But the first servant refused. Instead, he went and had the man thrown into prison. The man would be held there until he could pay back what he owed. The other servants saw what had happened and were very angry. They went and told their master everything that had happened. Then the master called the first servant in. You evil servant, he said, I forgave all that you owed me because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on the other servants just as I had mercy on you? In anger, his master handed him over to the jailer. He would be punished until he paid back everything he owed. This is how my Father in heaven will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother or sister from your heart.